All right, good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. So thanks for joining me this morning. My name is Amanda Weiner. I'm an admissions manager with the MBA Admissions office. I've been with our team for 5 years now. I serve on the admissions committee. So I'm excited to help give you some insight into this process. It's awesome that you guys are attending. We are recording today as well. Just so you know, we will have this available later on after the webinar. So the goal today is to help give you insight into this reapplication process and for you to really feel empowered to submit a successful application. So we'll talk about how this process is a little bit different from the initial process. I'll give you tangible steps to improve your candidacy and provide different ways to sort of think about your approach to the application as you prepare it for round one or for later on. So the first thing I do want to share is that over 50% of the reapplication population is often successful with the process. So our reapplicants may have been waitlisted last year, they may have been denied or perhaps declined our offer of admission. But what's encouraging is that we want to admit people who want to be at Georgetown McDonough. So reapplying is a positive indicator that you're committed to the program. So some people may assume that they're at a disadvantage. The key to this process is really showing the improvement you've made to your application. So just a quick agenda of what to expect today. So we'll start with insights into the review process, talk about the holistic approach. I'll provide you some suggestions for conducting your own self-assessment and questions to consider as you do that. And then we'll also provide you, again, with actionable items to take to strengthen your candidacy. We'll also leave time at the end for questions. So if you want to go ahead and chat those in as we go ahead. You can use the chat feature or the question and answer. Either way, I'll definitely leave time for that at the end. So let's start by taking a look at the application review process. And for some of you, you may have heard this last year, but I think it's good to go over it again and help give you insight into kind of what the admissions committee is looking at. So we take a holistic approach to the application process. So you may have heard this before, but what this means is that no one aspect will make or break your candidacy. So we really take a balanced approach. We're looking at the quantitative and the qualitative aspects of your application. So with this, the quantitative components being the nuts and bolts, so your cumulative GPA, your undergraduate grades, your standardized test scores, number of years of professional work experience. And then the qualitative aspects really give the personality to your application. So that's where we really see who you are. So we see that through your video essay, your written essays, your interview, your recommendation, and then the actual quality of your work experience. So we really look at all of this to craft a successful class and really select people who are going to be contributors to our community. We take all of this together. Ultimately, we want to see is we want to know that you will be successful with the academics in our program. We want to see the unique value that you'll contribute to your cohort, see if the university culture is the right fit for you, and also see your potential for career advancement. Certainly, we want you to be successful with your career post-MBA. So we're asking ourselves questions such as, can you handle the rigor of the MBA program? And again, what will you contribute as an active member to our community? So talking about this self-assessment. So this is a key part to the reapplication process. So you really have to kind of take a step back and be objective as you, review your profile. I'd say the first step is really to review the class profile. If you were waitlisted or denied, use that profile as a way to kind of understand where you fall in those ranges, certainly keeping in mind that there are people above those ranges and below those ranges as well. If you are outside of those ranges, this can help you focus your energy on growth opportunities such as retaking the GMAT or the GRE, or maybe the English proficiency exam if you're an international student, or maybe just better articulating your goals. Maybe if you have less work experience, or maybe you're above our profile in work experience, really telling us why the MBA and why now. So again, then you have to think about the qualitative aspects. Again, telling us your story. So we want a variety of people in our class. And again, we want to make sure everyone is successful academically, professionally, and personally. So you also need to consider what the admissions committee's concerns about your candidacy may have been and really hone in on those growth areas. You need to use this objective self-assessment to inform how you talk about your growth areas and use that to tell us your story in a compelling way. So let's talk about opportunities for improvement and insight into actionable steps to take for your application. So first, let's talk about your academic history. So when we evaluate this quantitative element, we're not just reviewing your cumulative GPA. So what we're looking for is seeing if an applicant's academics are consistent and if they can perform in a consistent way to achieve success in our program. So your standardized test score is just one input showing how you performed on one day, but a bit more consistent perspective is your undergraduate transcript. So while we are looking at the cumulative GPA, certainly, we're looking at overall trends of your academic performance. So you may have had a rocky start to your freshman year. You're certainly not alone in that, or maybe something happened that negatively affected your GPA. Again, overall, what we're looking for is that upward improvement. So maybe you did have that rocky start, but you rebounded and you kind of course corrected and really changed that progression. If your undergraduate GPA is well outside of our range, again, coming back to that class profile, use the optional essay to provide the context. So again, that's a key tool, I think, to not keeping the admissions committee guessing. There is more to that story. Address that and tell us maybe what you've learned from that experience. In addition to reviewing your undergraduate courses, we'll certainly review any other additional coursework you've had. So if you completed a master's program maybe, or a certificate program, or maybe even some online courses to help prepare you with the quantitative aspects for the program, we'll certainly review those aspects as well. This is another great way to express your academic work ethic and your academic abilities to show us you're able to perform in a consistent way in an academic setting. So actionable steps here, if maybe you think your academic history may be a growth area for you, you can take a course to supplement your educational background. So for example, there are online free courses from Coursera, or perhaps the MBA math program is another good one we see at some incoming applicants. It is always helpful to get a grade for those courses. Sometimes the pass-fail, it can be helpful to have a grade from those. So they're great options. We do accept them. Even if you're taking them, when you start the application process, just keep us in the loop. Let us know when you get grades for those courses, and just communicate to us that you're taking those steps. Again, also the optional essay. So if there was more to that time in your academic history during that undergraduate career, use that to fill in the gaps. Definitely another key there. Next, we'll talk about your standardized test scores. So certainly your test scores matter, and we want to be clear about it serving as one of the ways we assess our application pool and an individual's potential for success. Most of our applicants do take the test, whether it's the GMAT or the GRE. Typically, we see about 2 times, sometimes even 3 times. And do know if one test isn't working for you, consider taking the other ones. If you've been taking the GMAT and maybe it doesn't feel as comfortable, you can always try the GRE. We'll accept both. We don't have a preference, so try both out if that's an option. When we're looking at your GMAT or GRE score, we're looking at that overall score, certainly, but we're also looking at the subscores. So the quantitative subscore is certainly relevant because the first year curriculum is rigorous quantitatively. So we're using these test scores to make sure you can handle the academic work. We want to make sure to set you up for success in our program. So that's why we're using those test scores, and that's why it is an important component. We do hope to see a score 50th, 60th percentile in your quantitative score. Certainly if you fall below, then we'll take a look at other indicators, which we'll talk about in a little bit. For the verbal score too, if your score is low, maybe you're a non-English speaker, again, we'll look at other indicators such as your English proficiency exam, your undergraduate academics, using that to assess your language ability. Finally, we'll also be looking, so if, again, maybe your GMAT or GRE score isn't quite where you want it, we'll be looking to see if you're using quantitative skill sets in your day-to-day job, or maybe you've used them in a previous position. Definitely highlight any particular projects you've had where you're using those skills. You share that with that on your resume, or again, maybe using that optional essay if you're addressing your scores. Highlight those projects and tell us what you've been doing. Sometimes, maybe you don't perform well on that test day, but you've been using those skills in your job. You've been really successful, so share that with us. Talking more about your professional background. So in terms of the quantitative numbers, our average number of years of work experience kind of hovers around 5 years. We're looking, though, at both the quantity, so that years of work experience, as well as the quality of your work experience. So we've seen in the past, sometimes we have a student coming in who's worked 2 years post-undergrad, who's ready for the program. They can really articulate why now. They've had substantive performance and opportunities since they're undergraduate. Maybe they were working for, a small company, a startup, and they were, pushed to work kind of outside of their comfort zone. And they've really shown us that they've done a lot with those 2 years. Then other times we see people who work maybe 7 years out of undergraduate. Maybe their career is kind of stagnated. Maybe they took a while to kind of figure out what they were doing with their professional career. So sometimes, if you can really articulate why now, that's really important, and how you'll add value to the program is important. Certainly it's not just the number that we're looking at, the number of years of work experience. Show us new projects, new opportunities you've had since the last year. If you applied round 1 last year, you've had a whole extra year to your work experience. So adding to that total number, as well as a lot of opportunities, a lot of growth during that year. So let us know what you've been doing. Let us know if maybe your reasons have changed for why you're pursuing an MBA, and kind of how that's changed over the last year. Again, our goal is really to set you up for success and ensure our students are set up with awesome placements in your internship, and then again, permanent employment post-MBA. We really want our applicants to be academically successful and professionally successful. So show us what you've done with your career, express what you want to do next, and explain how our MBA program is integral in that path. So finally, let's talk about the personal presentation and the executive presence. So this is the interpersonal part of the application. So certainly we're reviewing your quantitative background, your academic history, your career path, but then we also look at your personality for fit into our culture and our university community. If you're evaluating your application against our class profile and find that you're within our ranges, read through your essays and think about those qualitative pieces of your application, and maybe rethink how you told your story to the admissions committee. This is definitely harder to evaluate objectively, but have others read your essay, watch your video essay, and have them let you know if your personality is really shining through, and if it's maybe getting a little lost, have them share with you what to highlight. Again, preparing for your interview. So that's another key piece to the assessment. So do some mock interviews and really prepare as you would for a professional interview. So use resources to get feedback. Maybe your undergraduate career center so works with you. Check that out. Use your peers. Try to really prepare for that interview and bring your best foot forward for that interview with our team. Another key thing to say, and I think we can't say this enough, is be authentic. Don't try to be someone who you think we want you to be. We're really looking for different backgrounds, different interests, and a wide variety of personalities. So only you can be you. And keep that in mind. We don't want to read an essay with everything pulled from our website. We really want to hear your perspective and get to know you as a person. So really let that shine through in those qualitative pieces to your application. We want people with different goals, different strengths, different personalities and ethnicities to create a really diverse class. Final piece here would be the reapplicant essay. So it would be a new component to you as a reapplicant. So here, this is where we really want to see that you've taken the time to step back, reflect, and improve your application. So maybe you overcame challenges within the past year, or maybe you changed your career trajectory, and now the reasons for pursuing your MBA have changed. Highlight any additional ways you've interacted with our community and how that has reinformed kind of your decision to reapply. Again, we want to admit people who want to be a part of Georgetown McDonough. So the fact that you're coming back to us, taking steps to receive feedback and learn more about our community, that all helps express your commitment to us. So we want you to take this feedback and really run with it. So again, looking at the rounds, another consideration to consider, we do have 4 rounds this year. Last year we did have 3. It's a little different. But another consideration when you're preparing for your application, depending on when you applied last year, it may have affected your decision. So we do recommend that you apply when you have the strongest candidacy application. But if you applied in round 3, it is possible we were oversubscribed in a specific area. So we are shaping the class with past average demographics in mind that offer a balanced class. So it's possible we had too many people interested in finance or from a specific professional background at that time. So by the end of round 2, we've seen 2/3 of our application pool, or I guess in this case, now that we have round 4, perhaps half of our application pool. So it is possible we may be at capacity for a specific area. So I would encourage you to apply earlier in rounds 1 or 2. Certainly that may not be the difference in getting admitted, but it also may help. Also in rounds 1 and 2, again, we're giving priority consideration for scholarships. So another thing to consider when planning your application. And certainly for international students, we do encourage you to apply in rounds 1 and 2 to give plenty of time for the visa process. With that, I'd be happy to take your questions. So feel free to chat those in, use the question and answer feature, and happy to address your questions as you kind of prepare your application. And certainly too, so we have our contact information there. So reach out to us, call us, email us. We're here to help you. So if you have specific questions, maybe you're not comfortable, opening them up to the greater population here during the webinar, certainly understand. We always have an admissions advisor available to speak with you. So anytime, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 p.m., we're there, happy to assist you and help give you insights into the process. And again, certainly we'd love to have you on campus. We welcome you to join us if you can. If not, we certainly are having virtual events too. There are current students. We just had one yesterday, I know, with a virtual experience Georgetown, so hosted by current students. So great to get their perspective as well on the program. Yeah, so one question just about individual feedback. So just due to the volume that can be, volume of applications we receive, that can be challenging. I would say if you have specific questions, about your candidacy, definitely reach out to us at that main email account if that's more convenient for you, or just give us a call. And again, an admissions advisor is always available to chat with you about your kind of specific personal questions about your candidacy. All right, well, if we don't have any other questions, I definitely, oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, a question. So about post-MBA goals, they've changed pretty significantly from when you submitted your application. No, definitely not something to be worried about. Again, as we said, you've had a whole year in your career and in your life, and a lot can happen during that time. So I would just say articulating to us, why they've changed and, certainly how they've changed is great. So using that reapplication process to tell us how those new goals, how the Georgetown MBA program plays into achieving those new goals, and just telling us about, how it's changed and why it's changed. So just sharing that with us is certainly not a negative thing. All right, so we got some more questions coming in. So are we looking at your past application when we review your reapplication? So we are not looking at all of those pieces. So for example, we would not have your essays from last year or the admissions committee when certainly we have them. But the admissions committee, what they're looking at when they evaluate your application, they would not have that previous information. So it is a kind of a brand new application. Other questions, so does the admissions committee expect the new application to be different from last year's application? I would certainly encourage you to present a different application. You know, take a look at your essays from last year and give us new ones, new recommendations. Again, you've had a year under your belt. For many of you, it's been a long time since you submitted your information. So I would, you know, we would want to see kind of how that, you know, this whole process is kind of fit into, you know, why you want to get to Georgetown and, you know, how that's kind of helped you reflect. It's really that reflection that we want to see. So we would kind of hope to see change in your application. In terms of submitting the new video essay, so it'd be the same process as last year. So you would submit a new link to your video and include that in the essay component of the application. So yeah, so you would upgrade it, submit a new video just like you did last year. Another question, can the essay be the same as last year if the goals are still the same? I would recommend, you know, submitting a new essay. The essay question has changed, so you would have to change it. Certainly if your goals are the same, you know, there may be similar elements to your application, but I would encourage you, again, that self-reflection process is key, showing us kind of what's changed in the last year. But certainly if your goals are the same, then they don't have to change. But the essay question is new, so you would have to submit a new essay, actually. So specific question. So one of our applicants is hoping to take a leadership role in a family-owned business. So are there usually other candidates who have a similar goal? Yeah, we see some candidates every year who work with a family business or maybe intend to join a family business later on. Yeah, we definitely see students with that background, and you know, they want to come back to their family business and take it in a new direction, or you know, add, you know, learn more leadership skills to take on those managerial positions. So yeah, we certainly see students who have that background in the past. You know, I don't know that it's a large population, but it's definitely a unique thing to add to the program. We also have people who want to start a business. So that experience of working with a family-owned business and those entrepreneurship skills is something that our other students are hoping to get. So adding that to the classroom, you know, they can learn a lot from you. And certainly you can learn a lot from their background as well. All right, well, it looks like we don't have any other questions. So again, reach out to us if there's something on your mind that maybe, again, you don't feel comfortable chatting in. Give us a call, email us, reach out to us. We're there to help you with this process. So, you know, we want to see you submit a successful application. So if there's something else on your mind, let us know, reach out to us. We're happy to help. You know, getting to know you guys and guiding you through the process is our favorite part. It's the best part of our job, certainly in my opinion. So reach out to us. We're happy to help you. That's what we do. We're happy to help. So don't hesitate to reach out. You know, I wish you luck in this process. I know the self-reflection process can be tricky, but I think many people find it really rewarding. So I hope you can take these tips that we've shared with you today, again, really run with them and submit an awesome application for this year. So reach out to us. Again, we'll have the recording available for you. And yeah, we're looking forward to getting to know you and getting to see you again through this process.